Well, a very good afternoon to you. Trust you're having yourself a good day. So am I. We've compiled for you the latest happenings across the country. But first, let's take a look at the highlights. Three people are feared dead and several others are trapped following a landslide in the Kimende area of Kiambu County.
Tuma mashini hapa nyingi, tuko na excavator, tuko na malori, tuko na zingine tunaongeza ndio tunaanza. Vile nimesema hapa ile mchanga imeteremka na kulalia barabara ni karibu eka 2.
The Laikipia County government adopts slum dump technology to control the devastating effects of floods in Rumeruti.
We are going to use and embrace this technology because of our areas that we some other times have seasonal or elastic floods during the time, and these are the ones that we call the laggers, which again sweep the people during the time of the floods.
The National Transport and Safety Authority and TSA list requirements for school buses following the reopening of learning institutions. Welcome to the program. My name is Bentura Komboka and our sign language interpreter this hour will be Clement Moli. And the Kenya Red Cross has declared the Kimende escarpment a danger zone following a landslide that struck the area on Tuesday night. This follows heavy rains associated with El Nino, which have caused widespread flooding across the country. And now let's cross over live to our reporter David Kagina, who's at the site. Good afternoon, Kagina. If you can hear me, what are the latest developments on that story? Well, we will be rejoining our reporter David Kagina, who's currently at the site where the landslide happened, that is in Kimende. And away from that, the Azimio Coalition is currently holding a legislative workshop in Nairobi, briefing its parliamentary group from both the Senate and the National Assembly on the Finance Bill 2024 and the NADCO bill ahead of the debate in Parliament. The meeting, which is chaired by Azimio Principal Kalonzo Musyoka, has seen members raise questions on the Finance Bill 2024 as they pointed out areas that needed to be looked into, which includes the increase in taxes. Now let's cross over and listen in.
The Remuruthi that we are having on Friday, I want to conclude, is organized by political party leaders who are also members of Azimio and those who are not members of Azimio. Over 31 political parties have come together in that region. And we are calling ourselves together because we have come to a conclusion that there is no hope. The only thing we can do is push back mpaka wakati yake ifike. Tafadhali nyinyi pia msaidie sisi. Shikilieni akina Sifuna. Don't allow these guys to collapse. They have collapsed everything and they are not going to help anything. If you have any iota of hope, wachana na hiyo. Tuombe Mwenyezi Mungu hii miaka 3 ikuiche kama jana. We throw them out. But we have to be very careful because they are also working kufanya hayo mambo yote. So I am saying we are going to be there. There are those leaders from our region who are also feeling na wengine wanafanya biashara na si baya, lakini tafadhali wachana na hiyo biashara kidogo, kuja tuungane pale. Tomorrow we have a meeting of leaders who are saying have not been invited in Mount Kenya region, and we are telling them there is nothing. We are not going to say that there is a presidential candidate in Mount Kenya. Sio shida yetu. Shida yetu ni mambo ambayo tumesukumwa naye. How can we be able to push back? Na sio Mount Kenya, these are problems that are across the nation. We expect that after Friday, we'll be able to do these movements across the country. Jamani, we have a disaster in power. If you are not careful, they will make you a disaster. Your Excellency.
And in our earlier story, the Kenya Red Cross has declared the Kimende escarpment a danger zone following a landslide that struck on the area on Tuesday night. This follows heavy rains associated with El Nino, which have caused widespread flooding across the country. And now we are joined live by our reporter David Kagina, who's currently at the scene. Good afternoon, David. Can you give us the latest development on that story?
Good afternoon, Bentura. I'm coming to you live from Gitemburi. Right on the road where we are currently standing is the road that joins Kimende with the area of Matatha, and the same road continues down to Maimahiu, several kilometers from here, where we recently lost at least 61 lives to flash floods. What I'm meant to understand from the residents right here is that the landslide we are currently witnessing today was just an escalation of what has been happening in this region from as far back as Friday. According to the residents right here, this road has been closed severally without casualties being there of the landslides. But however, the incident that took place yesterday at around 7 p.m. happens to be one of the most catastrophic of those that have been happening here, with at least 3 people confirmed to have been to be buried under the rubble that you can see right behind me. And the pictures that are coming to you live right now are excavators in efforts trying to, dismount and try to retrieve the bodies that are buried right under, as well as trying to open up this road that is also used very much by the residents of this area to access the lower sides of this slope. One of the things that is currently clear here is that the soil is a bit waterlogged from the foundation owing to the rains that have been witnessed in this region. We've been able to speak to some of the residents here, and they say they have been calling to the county government and the area administration to take action on this road, especially now that landslides are not a new thing to the residents. Remember, however, this area has been condoned of as a landslides high-risk area by the Kenya Red Cross Society. And even as we speak, the Kiambu governor, Kimani Wamatangi, as well as Kiambu Regional Commissioner, have been to this scene, and as we speak right now, they are downslope speaking to the residents, trying to speak to them and warning them to move out from the areas that they deem as extremely high risk. And if our camera person can get to show you, just on the left of where we are currently standing is a landslide that took place not very long ago, and so this is not something new to this region. And so the best thing, according to Red Cross, they're trying to evacuate people who are at a position of danger, as well as warn those who might be at the risk of witnessing the landslides in this region. We're, however, following up on the developments of this case to see if the rescue team over here will manage to retrieve anyone, and most definitely we'll be keeping our viewers updated in our subsequent bulletin. For now, allow me to take it back to you to studio.
Well, thank you, David Kagina, for that development there. And away from that, the State Department for Technical Vocational Education and Training, Higher Education and Teachers Service Commission are today appearing before the National Assembly Education Committee to defend their proposed budget estimates for the next financial year 2024-2025. Now let's cross over live and listen in.
And we are in that process, Chair.
And on that note, follow up on that, CEO Ringera. It means that when you are funding, either in scholarship or through loans, if you have been doing a blanket funding of 67,000, you'll have actually done a lot of disservice, because a school or a college or a polytechnic, and you realize there are some that does social sciences courses, like accounting, business, and all that. 60% of their students are in those courses, and then 10% are in engineering. And you are funding them at the level of STEM colleges. Don't you think it is a problem there?
Yeah, Chair.
So kindly do that.
Yeah,
Yes.
Chair.
So that yes.
Chair, thank you. That was the question actually I was asking, because one of the critical components of the new TVET funding model is the costing of various programs. Now, in the admission that we have just had, I would like to ask whether actually the funding model for the TVET is workable with this kind of an arrangement. I don't think it is workable, and it's all in shambles.
Chair.
Yes, sir.
Agreed. And in our last discussion with the economic team, the CEO help will tell you that we actually agreed that as a department, we go back and relook at what I have already said, because even the admissibility of our students vis-a-vis those of the university cannot be the same. So, Chair, this is work in progress, and we commit to.
And the National Council of Churches Kenya Nyanza region has voiced concerns over the 2024 finance bill proposal, accusing the government of overtaxing Kenyans while corruption and wastage remain rampant. Speaking at the NCCK 14th Regional Conference in Kisumu, Reverend John Mark highlighted the potential burden on the already struggling population. The clergy criticized the erosion of justice and professionalism due to corruption and called for the reconstitution of the IEBC and transparent handling of the NADCO reports.
Global peace, national peace, and so on. People are despairing. I said, the thing we should do, we should not despair.
Yeah, thank you, brothers and sisters. Praise God.
We as a church do take note of the fact that we have a very insensitive government. That even after going through difficult times in 2023, when promises were made that things may get better in the future, Kenyans did struggle through the year, and even as we began this year, there was some hope. And here comes a bill that kind of dims that hope. We want to tell the government that they are being insensitive to the cry of the Kenyan that is adversely affected by this bill. When you ask me about any alternative they have, we have a government that seems to be too wasteful, and we have always raised that issue even in the past. We have a wasteful government, and whenever they even talk about cutting down on expenditure in certain areas, they have not yet lived to that talk. So the alternative that I would propose to this government is to relook at their budget, prioritize their expenditure, and do things in a way that does not overburden Kenyans.
With that, we take a breather here at K24 Newscast. We'll be back with more news. Stay tuned.
It's time to move. It's time.